So I've been seeing some reports that people are saying is Shakur Stevenson v Teofimo Lopez. Is that Shakur Stevenson's cash out fight? And initially I was thinking, no, surely not. But as I started to think about it and talk it over and game it out in my head, I'm thinking, honestly, it might be. Because realistically, there aren't a ton of big commercial names at 135 currently. And Teofimo Lopez is definitely a recognisable name. Definitely a name that people know and have heard of, and definitely know he's a world level boxer because the guys he's been in there with, of course, the Lomachenkos, the George Kambosas, and of course just beating an undefeated Arnold Barboza Jr. at 140 to claim his world title, his WBO world title. So people know that Teofimo Lopez is incredibly talented. People also know about Shakur Stevenson and know how good he is, but Shakur Stevenson's not really been in any big fights since, well, really ever. I mean, since the Zepeda fight, the Zepeda fight is his last fight. That, in my opinion, was his highest level of opponent. Zepeda was an undefeated guy who was an interim world champion, just beat Teofimo twice. And I think overall is one of the most active boxers in terms of punch output in the world right now, in terms of just throwing so much volume. So William Zepeda was definitely a good level of opponent, in my opinion. But other than that, he's really not fought anyone. Especially at lightweight. In previous weight divisions where he was a world champion at 126, 130, he fought world level guys there, I think-ish. Even though I think he may have fought for a vacant title once or twice, but that's by the by. But again, is there many fights bigger than a Teofimo Lopez out there for Shakur Stevenson? Realistically, probably not. If you're looking at a lot of those other big names that were at 140, they've now moved up to 147. If you're looking at your Rolly Romeros, if you're looking at your Devin Haney's, those would be great fights. But again, they're two weight divisions above at that point, because I'm not expecting Shakur Stevenson to stay at 140. I think that's what he said as well. If he beats Teofimo Lopez for the WBO belt, then he's just going to vacate it, give it to Keyshawn Davis. So showing he's got no intention of being at 140 long term. And that's good because there are still some very good fights from at 135. I think the likes of a Floyd Schofield fight, that fight was supposed to happen. It fell through last minute, the last couple of days. But nonetheless, Floyd Schofield will definitely be a good opponent for Shakur Stevenson, purely because he's so athletic, so powerful. He'd be the most powerful puncher, punch for punch that he's fought. Zepeda was a big knockout puncher as well. I think he 30 wins, 27 knockouts, but he was a lot more of a dull, concussive puncher, whereas Floyd Schofield, like you saw with Tevin Farmer, he'll just put you on your ass. He'll just put you on your ass and, you won't even make it out the round. Do you know what I mean? You won't even make it out the round against a guy like Floyd Schofield. Shakur Stevenson, I think, would. But that's the main selling point that makes that fight exciting. Floyd Schofield's a big puncher. Shakur Stevenson's great defensively. Is he good enough defensively to avoid that big punch? It's got that selling point there. And then, of course, another fight at 135 against someone who, in my opinion, this fight is the number one fight to make at lightweight, and that's Shakur Stevenson v Andy Cruz. The two truly best guys at 135 right now, in my opinion, is Shakur Stevenson and Andy Cruz. And hopefully, if that fight gets made, they put the Ring Magazine Championship, lightweight championship on the line for that. I don't know who the current lightweight champion is. If they've got one, it might be Gervonta Davis. I'm not sure, though. And even, again, Gervonta Davis as an option is probably gone now. In fact, definitely gone. But that will mean once Gervonta Davis fights Jake Paul, his lightweight championships will be vacated, and then there'll be an opportunity for maybe Shakur, maybe someone else to fight for some vacant titles. And really, the winner of Shakur v Andy Cruz is the guy who likely will go on to become the next undisputed champion at lightweight. Which, if that's a hot take, that's a hot take. But I think that's the situation it is. I think easily the winner of Shakur v Andy Cruz will go on to become the undisputed champion at lightweight. I don't think that's a hot take at all. Because I think they're by far the two best guys in the division. Well, it was 2 out of 3 because Keyshawn Davis was definitely in that conversation as well, but I don't include him anymore because he's not fighting at 135 anymore. He's ranked number 1 at 140. So he's gonna be fighting 140, and then I'm not to go on a tangent, but for Keyshawn Davis now he's got options at 140. Richardson Hitchens, that would be an absolute chess match that I would love to watch. Richardson Hitchens at 140. You still got your Arnold Barbosas. You still got Teofimos there. I mean, there's not a ton of names at 140 to be fair, but you've got those few guys at the top of the division as well. And then you're only £7 away from welterweight, but I don't think Keyshawn Davis will be going up to welterweight. But he could. He's a good enough boxer too. But yeah, back to the point of the entire video though. Is this Shakur's cash out fight? Probably, because like I said, those fights after the Teofimo fight, like the who did I say? Floyd Schofield. That wouldn't be a huge money fight. It would be a money fight, but it wouldn't be as big as a Teofimo fight. And then the Andy Cruz fight. The Andy Cruz fight would be huge amongst hardcore fans, but I think that would be like a Haney v Lomachenko, which only did like 140,000 pay-per-view buys or something. Which is pretty dead. All things considered, it's pretty dead. But yeah, I would be curious to know what you guys think though. Do you think this is Shakur's cash out fight, or do you think he can still go on to have some pretty big paydays in the sport of boxing? I'd be super curious to know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.